Welcome back to NSC's weekly series Spotlight. It was a heartbreaking one in Cincinnati over the weekend, but there's no time to dwell because we've got two matches ahead. One for US Open Cup Semifinals right here at Geodis Park and one on the road against Orlando. We'll talk about all that and more here on Spotlight. Welcome back, guys. Good to see the squad here. How are we doing?
Good. Ready to go. Excited for a semifinal. This place is going to be rocking this week.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have the ability to contrast an unfortunate result with the competition where you're toward the end of it, things are getting very, very interesting in terms of if you win this one, you're in the finals. Talking about the semifinal US Opens Cup, that's obviously the focus of the week for BJ Callahan and the squad, and it's exciting stuff.
Let's take a look back at Saturday's match. We obviously had this expectation that this was going to be a rivalry match. It was going to be intense. The result is not what we wanted, but what were some of your takeaways?
Some of the takeaways, obviously, is that to compete against the best, you have to be at your best, and minute mistakes can lead to unfortunate results. And this is a preview into what the playoffs can look like. And what I like about this point in the season, especially where Nashville is in the table, is you can really learn these lessons, not necessarily for free, but you can learn them at a premium, because once you get later in the season, aka the playoffs, you don't have the ability to say, okay, this is a lesson learned, because it would be season over or advancing to the next round.
Yeah, that dynamic Cincinnati front line caused Nashville problems in transition. Just the breakdowns and understanding who's got who in critical moments. It only takes a couple of those moments to shift an entire game on its head. BJ Callahan told us this week, this time of the year, every phase of the game is that much more important. Attacking and defending set pieces, transition play, being able to limit turnovers in areas where you don't want the other team to have the ball. Everything's just that much more heightened, that much more pressure-packed. I thought a positive, though, was Gaston Brugman's performance. I thought he was terrific pulling the strings of the Nashville midfield. I thought him and Eddie Taxeth had a good understanding together of where to be. 4 key passes for Brugman, gets the assist on Sam Surridge's league-leading 21st goal. There were positives to take away from this. Nashville created a lot of opportunities. Ultimately, though, Cincinnati gets that last moment and pounces on a Nashville mistake in the box, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of positives, to be fair. You talk about Sam Surridge still holding firm in the Golden Boot race and fortifying his name above Lionel Messi. That's everywhere he wants to continue to be. But I'm always looking at who is going to be the X factor, whether it's in an era of the season or a match or, of course, over the test of time. And Tyler Boyd being back, getting his assist in prolific fashion as well, because this wasn't one where it was like drawn up very straightforward. This is exactly what you do. He had to really fade himself further and further out to the left, pick his head up and get a perfect cross in for Sam Surridge to do the rest. So for me, that's a sign of a player being confident upon return and not easy to do after suffering the injury that he had.
Right, and then the boys come back here to Geodis Park on Tuesday, so that's a few short days after losing in Cincinnati. What's the mentality that you have to come back going into a semifinals match and wanting to get to what could be the finals of US Open Cup? Yeah,
ironically, after a loss like Cincinnati, a quick turnaround in a game that's so important, in a tournament that the team has been so well, I would say, brought together, it's where you actually want to be. When you have a bad taste in your mouth, you want to roll it back out, get right back out there. And when you get later into the stages of a US Open Cup, just from experience, it's typically when the managers roll out more and more of the first choice squad. That's also why you can look back to Cincinnati where certain players were rotated in a certain way. So what I expect is for Nashville to come out all guns blazing against the Philadelphia side, who also suffered a very unfortunate result in a different way. The scoreline was what really pinned them down, maybe confidence or morale-wise, whereas for Nashville, suffering a late defeat is what potentially could have pinned them down. So for me, there's a lot to play for, but you can't look backwards. You're looking full forwards front, and just the different nature of the competition typically brings different vibes.
The beauty of that, too, though, is that while Vancouver was scoring 7 goals against Philadelphia, the boys in gold were on their way home to Nashville. The later start, the long travel, I mean, that's the opponent. I'm not a geography guy, but I think that's the opponent furthest away from Nashville in all of Major League Soccer, Seattle and Vancouver being the two. So Don't quote me on that. Those two are close, I think.
That's not difficult geography. So
I mean, between the two, though, there may be a difference in whatever, 50 miles, whatever. But Vancouver's far away from Nashville. Nashville gets to come back home. Vancouver, that's difficult travel for Philadelphia. Philadelphia, third fewest mistakes leading to goals in Major League Soccer this season. It's not a team that beats themselves. And the amount of challenges that they commit, nobody has attempted more challenges defensively than Philadelphia Union in MLS this year. It's chaotic. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. Nashville cannot take any comfort in the success they've had this season against Philadelphia. You've got to attack this game like Philly's the one that's won the first 2 matchups and go at them and be the aggressor at home.
The last time Nashville SC was in semifinals was for Leagues Cup, and the Leagues Cup run that we all remember. I'm feeling the vibes of that again. I'm so excited for it. But what advantage does Nashville SC have being at home in a knockout round like this?
Well, I mean, just the confines of the pitch, for one. You feel comfortable on your own grass, understanding the field dimensions of, if I play a switch from the left defensive flank to the right attacking flank, how much do I have to put on that to get it there? So there's just the comfort in the grass, in the spacing of the pitch and the dynamics of the stadium. But this crowd is going to be all over Philadelphia, and this has turned into a really fun rivalry. Has been for years. Nashville feels like it's had the upper hand in it. There's some villains in that Philadelphia team that I think Nashville fans are excited to see once again, and the way that game ended here just over a month ago, it's going to be loud, it's going to be chaotic, and you've got about 30,000 fans that are kicking the ball with you in gold and blue.
Yeah, it seems like Philly has now really become part of Nashville's history in ironic ways. Opening up Geodis Park, of course, it was the Philadelphia Union, right? So when you look at this fixture, when you look at Open Cup, it's a knockout round competition. So yeah, there is going to be certain advantages, but look no further than Nashville knocking Orlando out of US Open Cup. It really doesn't matter. You can't really look at those things and say, okay, yeah, we're playing the percentages, they're going to be a little bit down. No. This is an organization that has gotten to the Open Cup final many times, and they're very poised in this competition. They take it very seriously. That's why they're in the semifinal. And when you look at this team and what they've done under Bradley Cornell this season has been very impressive, because if you contrast it with 2024, you would have thought a more experienced MLS group would have done better, but they've really flipped the script in a way where this is a team not only leading the Supporter Shield race in MLS play, but a team that individually speaking, you cannot rest on your laurels against.
Right. Well, looking back at Nashville and Philadelphia's history, what do you think has made Nashville so competitive against this team?
I think styles of play, whether you contrast it with that of Gary Smith or that of BJ Callahan, the styles really make for a competitive outfit against a Philadelphia team that likes to choke you, likes to make the game very, very competitive. They're going to turn you over very quickly, then look to go. But both teams look to get the ball down on the pitch and play good football. And then, of course, just this competitive spirit that comes with the individual players that have been on these clubs for a multitude of years. And then when you look at the cities, they're by and large 2 pretty gritty cities. Of course, y'all Philly folk are going to talk about how how gritty you guys are. I think you guys are a little bit mean when it's unnecessary. In my opinion.
Necessary.
When you look at Nashville as a city, it's a city that is been fortifying itself to punch above its weight. And now you can't even say that Nashville is a metropolitan city that's punching above its weight. It's competing with some of the best. So I think that kind of sets the stage in terms of how and why the entire matchup has gotten to where it's gotten through MLS and US Open Cup play.
It's 2 blue-collar teams. I mean, it's that simple. You have 2 of the best defenders of the last 5 years and 10 years even of MLS, and Jacob Glesnes and Walker Zimmerman. You've got 2 excellent veteran goalkeepers. I know Andre Blake was out of the lineup over the weekend, but Andre Blake and Joe Willis, who's second in MLS in clean sheets this year. It's just veteran, experienced players who understand the league, understand blue-collar soccer, and they've given us some fun showdowns over the years.
Well, jumping back into MLS regular season play, Nashville SC will head to Orlando this weekend. Looking at its history, Nashville has won both matches when they've met. But looking at this Saturday, how important is it for the boys in gold to win for the playoff push?
Oh, it's huge. These are 2 clubs that hate each other, straight up. Straight up.
Absolutely.
And it permeates through the locker room all the way through whatever. Like, that's just how it goes. And that delivers great soccer. It delivers the anticipation that we're all here for. And then when you zoom into this season, again, this is another team for me that you can't take lightly. Oscar Pareja's side has only had one win since mid-July, but they've been dealing with a lot, whether it's international call-ups, players in and out. They had a Leagues Cup run that should have gone, a little bit further, even in my opinion, where that's a lot to balance. We all know that here in Nashville. So I would encourage each and every one of the players, which I know they'll be locked into, but fans as well, to not look at the table and say, okay, we have a clear advantage against Orlando, even though Hani Mukhtar normally be killing them out there in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where I think the challenges and the temperament of the game in the 80th minute and beyond of the 5-1 Nashville win here feels like we're going to kind of start there, right? I mean, like Robin Janssen and Rodrigo Schlegel are good center backs. Those two are wanting to wind up forwards and wanting to get under your skin. And when they've got 20,000 fans in purple helping them do that, it raises the temperament. It raises the humidity, not just from a weather perspective in Florida. I got a lot of geography references today. Isn't
that a weather reference?
I did take a weather geography class in college, so same thing in my brain. But anyway, I digress. There are goals in this game. Orlando's allowed 21 goals in 14 games at home. Unusually porous at the back in their home stadium because they're so expansive. They want to play a beautiful, free-flowing style. Punish them for that. When they get those fullbacks forward, David Brekalo on the left-hand side, Alex Freeman, the young phenom U.S. international on the right-hand side, take advantage of their aggressiveness and hit them back on the counter the way Nashville did here. Orlando controlled a lot of the possession at home. Nashville said, okay, take it. We're just going to go by you and score the other way. The same can be said in their building this Saturday.
You brought up an interesting point. You talked about humidity inadvertently, but when you play at Orlando late in the season, it can be a bit of a shock because the temperatures have cooled off throughout the rest of the country. And you're kind of like, okay, maybe we should be wearing like gloves and scarves. It's kind of chill. But when you go to Orlando, sometimes you can be shocked by, oh, damn, it's still hella hot here. And that can really throw you off guard. So another thing to be mindful of going into that matchup is to put in your mind, whether you're in the locker room or the technical staff or even fans that are traveling out there, it's going to be hot. And you can't be surprised by that from warm-up, so that way you're already acclimated mentally before you hop on the jet.
Right. Well, no hot pumpkin spice lattes, but you know what? The boys in gold are going to head down to Orlando. It's going to be hot, and they're going to be cooking in the kitchen. So that we have set the stage for this week. Make sure to be here at Geodis Park on Tuesday for a 7 p.m. kickoff for the U.S. Open Cup Semifinals against Philadelphia Union. If you can't be here, you can catch it on Paramount+. Then it's back to league play on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time against Orlando City. Catch it on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV or listen locally on 104.5 The Zone. Big week for the boys in gold. Thanks for watching Spotlight.